I don't know if you've heard of this show because, you know, it's only like the biggest thing that Netflix has ever done. So I imagine it's like this sort of obscure little show that I'm recommending because no one would know about it otherwise. And that's of course Squid Game. However, before we get into this video properly, as you are aware, I am aiming for 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you do enjoy the content and you haven't subscribed already, make sure you click that subscribe button and I would love you forever. But let's get into this fucking anarchy. So, Squid Game. I'm pretty sure at this point everybody's watched this. I mean, if you haven't, let me know, but I don't really know why I should call this or why you should watch, because it's like, why have you watched? Because you probably have at this point. Anyway, for those of you who haven't, like the two of you, Squid Game is this new Korean series that has come onto Netflix, and how do I describe it? It's very brutal, very violent, very heartbreaking in places. It's essentially a group of people, I say a group, it's like 400 and odd people, and all these people are in debt, or they've got money issues, or they're really down on their luck, and they're given this opportunity to enter these games, and if they win this game then they win a grand cash prize. However, the caveat is, if you get eliminated from the game, you get eliminated from living. And I've got to say, it's a great show. I don't think I love it as much as some people seem to. I wouldn't say that it's overrated. I think it definitely deserves its praise. But there are moments in this that are really like, Jesus, that's horrible. But in like a, I have to keep watching sort of way. Like most TV shows, we don't just follow one person, although you kind of do, but there is like a small group of people that you follow as they try and get through these games. And the funny thing is, with these games, they are relatively simple. They're not like really complex over the top. A lot of them are kids games, stuff like red light, green light. I think one episode is marbles, the other one is they have to cross a bridge, tug of war. But again, there is also that caveat of, if you fail at this game, no matter how easy it may seem, you're dead. So that adds another layer of pressure and tension onto the characters. So let's talk about some of the games in Squid Game. So the first one is red light, green light, which I'm sure most of you will have seen by now. It's, I think, the most iconic one from the series, where it's this big robotic little girl, and like she will shoot people if they move when she turns around. What I loved about that scene when I first saw it is the fact that a lot of them think, oh, well, if she turns around, like, I'm just out of the game. But you just see like a couple of people get gunned down, and the natural response, which I feel like if I was in that situation and didn't really know what was happening, I probably would have been one of those people who didn't just stay there and stand my ground. I probably would have legged it as well, and I probably would have got shot. But the thing is, as the games progress, they don't really tell you the full story with the rules, so there are a few little cruel twists and turns. Now for me, what I thought was the worst game, and I don't mean is like, oh, this was like shit, I mean, oh, that would be the worst game to play, was the bridge. I know a lot of people said that the most heartbreaking one was the marbles, and I will get to that after this one, but I just want to talk about the bridge for a minute. So at this point, I think there's only like 16 people left, and they go into this room initially, and there's a load of mannequins, 16 in total, each one with bibs on, each one with numbers, so obviously 1, 2, 3, etc., all the way up to 16. And the players are told, whichever bib that you grab, that's the order that you will take part in this game. So there's like a tactical thing where people are thinking, oh, I don't know, which one should I pick? I mean, do I want to be first? I probably don't want to be first, but being last, I mean, will that give me a disadvantage as well? I'll probably stay safe and pick a number in the middle. However, with this bridge game, it's like 2 across of glass panes, and they go all the way across to the other side, and underneath is like a massive drop. The caveat with this game is, one piece of glass will support your weight, or I think they're saying it'll support 2 people's weight. The other one, however, will not. And so if you land on that one, you just fall to your death. Now the thing is, if you've picked like the first few numbers, I think you're pretty much guaranteed to be dead. I remember watching that one thinking like, fuck, this is horrible. I mean, there's a character later on who's towards the back who used to work with glass, so could tell the difference. But because that wasn't enjoyable to the people watching the game, they were like, yeah, let's turn the lights off so they can't really tell the difference. But of course, because not only money is on the line, but your life as well, some people are like, yeah, I'm not waiting, so if you don't hurry up and fucking move, by the way, there's a timer, that's also a thing. So yeah, if you don't move, I'm gonna just fucking throw you in front of whichever one it is, and if you go through, then you fucking fall to the floor. But let's talk about the marble game a little bit, because I think that's the one that everyone talks about. The cruel twist with that one was that before the game you were told, let's pair you up. So grab somebody else and you can play the game with them. What they didn't realise was you're not playing the game with them, you're playing against them, which would be fucking heartbreaking, especially because what people would do in that situation, like in school, if you're told to partner up with someone, you're gonna pick your mate. And in this, that's what they do. Not only that, there's a husband and wife in here. They team up with each other, so they know that 50% of the people who are gonna play this game aren't gonna come out the other side of it. And it really shows how fucking evil people are. And I think the entire series kind of shows what greed will do and what desperation will do, like the lengths that people will go to get some money. Thing is, I don't care how much money I would owe someone or how much debt I was in. I couldn't do something like this. I really couldn't. And maybe that's because I haven't actually done it and I don't know, because, you know, maybe when you actually go into it, your instincts kick in and it's like, I have to survive and I will do anything to do that. I don't know. But just from looking at it, some of the people I'm really surprised at, but at the same time, I'm not. There's a certain character in this who initially seems quite hesitant to play the game, and you really think that they're going to be one of the good guys, and over the course of the series, it's proper fucking evident that they're actually one of the worst people in the entire game. The tug of war one as well, that was an interesting one, especially with, I mean, it's Squid Game, so it's not a simple case of, oh, you just fall over and you lose. No, if you get dragged far enough, which will mean that you lose, you again plummet to your death. The one thing that I will say about Squid Game that I think is the thing that makes me think it isn't as good as people have made out to be. It is very good, don't get me wrong. There's heavy plot armor for the main character, especially. Like, there's so many situations where, from the top of my head, it's like 3 or 4 where they probably should have died, but because they're the main character, they're obviously not going to. I think another thing as well is there's a couple of plot threads that aren't linked to the main story that I feel don't really go anywhere and don't really have a satisfying payoff, and it just feels like they did it just because they needed to fill up time. This thing is 9 episodes in total, and I really do think that you could have shaved off 2, maybe even 3 episodes worth of material, and the core aspect of the show wouldn't change that much. In particular, a couple of the guards, what they will do after people have died, instead of putting the bodies into like the furnace or whatever it is, they will take those bodies and they will harvest those organs and they will then sell them on so they make a bit of extra money, which again kind of highlights how fucked it actually is, because even the people who are told to do these horrible things and make sure that these people die and even murder them, they're clearly not getting paid enough. But that arc didn't really go anywhere. There's a thing with the detective as well where he's trying to find his brother. That was really fucking obvious and a bit pointless in the end, in my opinion. Initially it looked like it was really going to go somewhere. I don't know if there's going to be a second series. Maybe they'll carry that on. I highly doubt it given the way that it was resolved, but again, I thought that was a bit pointless. One thing that I will really praise about Squid Game though is the practical effects, because I'm pretty sure from watching behind the scenes video there is very little green screen in this series. A lot of it is like real sets that they built, whether it is like the giant playground or the bridge or the tug of war, whatever that might be. And I do appreciate that because it really does make a difference. You wouldn't think so with the amount of CGI that you see in most TV shows and movies now, but when you see these practical effects and people react to them, I don't know if they, I mean, obviously they didn't kill actual people where they fell through glass or, you know, got dragged off this other plinth on, you know, game of tug of war, but you see the sets, and obviously there's probably like safety nets and what have you, but it really does add to the realism. You can tell that these are practical sets to the point where you can feel what the characters are feeling and what they're thinking at that time, and you can understand why there is that sort of pressure, because I imagine for some people who were doing some of those stunts that if they did fall, yes, there would be a net there to catch them, but it's still a big fucking drop in it. I mean, not that I need to tell you, even though this is a why you should watch, because I'm sure you've already seen it, but Squid Game is definitely worth a watch. The first few episodes really are a slow burner, and I do feel like, as I said, it could have shaved off a couple of episodes, but it is definitely worth a watch. And whilst it isn't quite up to the hype, it really isn't that far off. Oh, actually, one more thing. Watch the subtitled version. And I know a lot of people are going to say, obviously, if something is dubbed, you're better off watching it in its original language so you can get the full effect of it, which is fine. However, we watched the dubbed version, and some of the voice acting in that is really, really bad. There's one character in particular, I can't remember her name now. She's the slightly older woman who has sex with one of the other people. Her dub actress is terrible. Like, she's one of the most grating and annoying characters purely from the voice acting, and I imagine that wouldn't have been the case in the original version. Maybe that is the case, I don't know, but from the dub version, yeah, sometimes the acting really is distracting, and it did take me a couple of episodes to get used to it. So if you have to watch the dub because you know, don't want to get distracted by subtitles, or you're not good with subtitles, just be aware of that. But yeah, in the comments below though, guys, if you've seen it, let me know what you think. Love it, hate it, whatever it is, let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description as always, so if you follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye. Shit. Camera would just fucking fall as I start filming. Nice one.